Hi everyone, welcome to another weekly session. And today's session will be covering some interesting topics like the various image compression methods, what exactly lies behind image compression methods, and what are the famous image formats. Once we are done with this, we'll go for a very superficial introduction of Markovs, given the fact that there's a special field of theory behind Markovs. But what exactly is Markov? We can definitely touch upon that. So, without any delay, let's get started. So first is image compression, and we'll be learning about image compression. So what exactly is image compression? And this is a very superficial article, and I mean, what? So let's go through it very quickly. So compression is carried out by an encoder and output a compressed form of image. In the process of compression, the mathematical transformations play a vital role. So basically, the fundamental idea of image compression is you take the entire image, then you transform it into a very good representative of a matrix. Basically, image is a matrix, right? So you have a good matrix. Now you transform that into another matrix, which is a much smaller size. However, is a appropriate representation and does store the value with 99% accuracy. So that is what we call as lossless conversion. If you do a lossy conversion, that is a different thing. So there are two types of image conversions which happen. Either you can go for a lossy path or you can go for a lossless path. Either of the two, you're generating a output matrix. Now, depending upon which path you choose, the output matrix is generated accordingly. If you want to preserve some part of, if you are just looking forward to reduce the size, which is a good representation of the image without considering how much information is preserved, then that is a lossy compression. That does compress the image to a greater extent. However, the image generated, that does compress the image to a greater extent. However, the image generated would be having lesser information compared to the one with original compared to the original information. However, if you go for a lossless path, the size would not be so much significant, would not be significantly reduced. However, the image generated would be a good and appropriate still would be a good and appropriate representation of whatever the image is. So this is a forward transfer, forward transfer, forward transfer. Why do we need image compression? Basic steps in compression: applying the image transform, quantization, and encoding the sequences. So you basically take an image, you do a representation, an encoded representation of the image. That is how the image is generated. Then using a decoder, you can decode. That is also one way. In machine learning, we use principal component analysis for image compression, extremely famous. Do check it out. If I might not discuss this, but try it on your own. Try to compress images with the help of principal component analysis. Extremely common, extremely relevant in the industry. Why transformation of image is important? It becomes easy to know what are principal components that make up the image. This is just a typical way of image compression, but we can discuss a bit more methods. We can discuss this. Anyways, I am here for another announcement. I think whatever is running on this particular channel is good enough, but I do think that, I mean, the weekly sessions are about to end by the end of December. And in the meanwhile, I'm planning to start a parallel YouTube channel in which it will be focused for industrial computer vision. So whatever the industrial requirements are, I'll be covering projects or things which are related to computer vision industrial aspect. So will be the case with industrial machine learning. So let's say if you are into object detection, there are entire playlists dedicated to object detection. I think that would be helpful and beneficial to a lot of people, and whatever happens on this particular channel will keep on happening. You need not to worry about it. So let's not deviate. Where were we? Lossless image compression. So lossless compression is a method to reduce the size of a file while maintaining the same quality as it was before, right? So in a DSLR camera, you probably have an option to save the photos as RAW or JPEG. RAW have no compression, are great if you are a professional photo editor, but they take up more space. JPEG, on the other hand, won't fill up your hard drive, but with some of the data would be lost. So lossless images are raw, the one which you directly capture and without any modification just store it in a drive. So is the cases with PNG, compresses images to keep the size small by looking the patterns on a photo. Compression is reversible. BMP is lossless, and lossy is JPEG is lossy, GIF is lossy. Methods of compression. So these are kind of image formats. We'll get into the formats at a later stage. You don't need to worry about it. So let's start with the compression thing. What are the various methods of compression? So one is deflate, run length, transform. A very superficial introduction. Deflate is a lossless data compression algorithm. It uses combination of LZ77 and Huffman coding. What is Huffman coding? Huffman coding is kind of matching strings by strings and allotting values 0 wherein it is different, 1 where it is same, and it is significantly used. I mean, it was significantly used for data compression used in JPEG and MPEG. Coding works by looking at the data stream and makes up the file to be compressed. So this is Huffman coding. Simple numerical on Huffman coding should be good at this. Just stop everything and try to check out whether or not you remember Huffman coding. It's a relevant algorithm. To achieve compression, results do not affect the quality. Now run length encoding is a form of lossless compression that takes redundant things, strings or runs of data and stores them as one unit. So you have a picture of red and white stripes. There are 12 white pixels and 12 red pixels. Normally the data would return this, where W represent this. But why to store so many W's and so many R's? Rather store the frequency count of W's and store the frequency count of R till the point they are in continuation. So it is 12 times W, 12 times R, then it is 6 times W, then you need to do 6W, not the total count. So 12W, 6R, 12W, 12R, 6W, rather than 18W, 12R, right? You get the point. And then it is transform. Transform encoding is a lossy compression used in JPEGs. There are a million of shades of colors, and transform encoding takes colors that have similar shades and make them a single value. Depending upon the compression value you have defined, you may or may not notice a substantial difference in the image quality. Good enough. Let's move on to Wikipedia article. Lossy and lossless we discussed. DCT is discrete cosine transformation. Fourier related transformation developed by this. DCT used in JPEG, reducing the color space. Lossless is run length encoding, area, predictive encoding, entropy encoding, deflate, chain codes. Yeah, compression rate or the bit rate is one factor. I mean, how much compression do you want to achieve in your image while performing the compression operation? However, there are multiple factors which are scalability, meta information, processing power, those kind of things. So just go through it. It is kind of relevant for. It's good to know. Yeah, that's what I would say is good to know. Lossy images, lossless images. This bit plane coding as well. if we get time in near future, we can rather discuss all the algorithm. Huffman encoding is simple algorithm, so is the run length encoding. Arithmetic encoding is something we don't know. Dictionary techniques. LZ77 coding algorithm. Let's search LZ77. LZ iterates. What happened? It seems to be stuck over here. Now it's fine. So in this algorithm, they are going to iterate sequentially through the input string, stores any match into the search buffer. The process compression can be divided into 3 steps. Find the longest match of a string that start at the current position of a pattern available to the search buffer. Output a triple where. Offset represents the number of positions that we would need to move backwards in order to find the start of matching string. L is the length of the match, C is the character. So if you have a string A B A B C B A B B A something like that, initially our search buffer is empty and we will start on the left where we find A. Given that there are not any matching patterns in our search, we output the triplet 0 0 A. Since we are not moving backwards, 0 and they're not matching search. After this we find character A. After this match we find the character A, so C equal to A. We move 1 plus 1 position to the right. Find ourselves on the second position. We'll be indicating the position of the search of the cursor using the square bracket. So it was over here 0 0 A, now it is 0 0 B. Now here we found the pattern and that was 2 steps ahead. So we made the code 2 to C and now we move 2 steps ahead. Let's go through this article. It's kind of simple. Go through it. There are various image compression methods. Bitplane encoding is one of them. Benefits of image compression: reliable cost savings, not only decrease the requirements of storage but execution times, chances of error transmission. JPEG is a kind of image compression method, that is DCT based image coding method. Sometimes you might be asked the size of an image. Let's say given that this pixels, height, width and depth, what would be the size of image? So you might need to calculate that as well. So So pixel count equal to width of image in pixels into height of image in pixels. 640 into 480. Now the pixel count is this. Now when we talk about large number of pixels of resolution, we can see MP, which is megapixels. A megapixel is a unit equal to 1 million pixels. As for a calculated pixel count, we can say that the image we are considering is approximately 0.3. megapixels. Image file size equal to pixel count into bit depth. So let's say it is a 8-bit channel, or whatever we have is usually 8-bit channel, right? So you have values ranging from 0 to 7, that is 8-bit channel. If you have 256-bit channel, just hold on. Hi. Yeah. So I will close this. So yeah. So let's say it is a 8-bit channel. Then you have values of bits ranging from 0 to 7. With a 255-bit channel, which is usually the case, then it would be 255 bits, values ranging from 256-bit channel. So then you will have values ranging from 0 to 255, and that is a 256-bit channel, which is usually the case. So whatever the depth of the bits is, multiply the pixel count with that, you'll have the total size of the bits. Now the answer is in bits. You want the result to be in bytes, then do the respective calculation, divide by 8, will convert it into bytes, and divide by 1000 to convert it into kilobyte. So that would be the answer in KBs. Relevant question might be asked for any interview or whatever it is. Now let's move on to various image formats. So image format is kind of significant of how the data would be stored. Now data can be stored compressed, uncompressed, vector format, whatever the format is. JPEG is a lossy compression method. There might be a lossless compression method. There might be no compression and stay storing as it is. There might be some transformation which is there. There might be some encoding. So whatever it is, let's just get into it. Some might be good for printing, some might be good for digital display. So there are different use cases for every image format, and we must learn what each image format serves and what the purpose of each image format is. So TIFF, tagged image file format. This format is to store the image data without any data losing any data. It does not perform any compression on the images, which means high quality image data is obtained, but the size of image is also large, thereby good for printing and professional printing. JPEG is a loss-prone, lossy format which data is lost to reduce the size of image due to the compression. Some data is lost, but that loss is very less. It is a very common format. We usually have been dealing with JPEGs from the very start, JPEGs and PNGs for digital cameras, non-professional prints, emails. GIFs. GIFs is quite popular given the digital era we are in, be it memes or whatever it is. GIFs are quite gaining popularity, but before memes and WhatsApp, Facebook, those kind of things, GIFs was there for web graphics. It started for web graphics, and animated web graphics limited to some colors, typically small and portable. PNG is another interesting format, which is portable network graphics, lossless image format. In contrast to JPEG, which is lossy, it is lossless, designed to replace GIF format, as GIF supported 256 colors, unlike PNG which supports 16 million colors. Then comes a bitmap format, which is quite special of Windows, as developed by Microsoft developers, and it is same as TIFF due to lossless, no compression property. Due to BMP being a proprietary format, it is generally recommended to use TIFF files. So it's just similar to TIFF, but is a proprietary format. So usually people prefer TIFF, and BMP kind of lost its significance. Encapsulated, what is it? .eps. Then you have raw images. Raw images are unprocessed images created by computers or scanners. So we have .raw, CR2, NEF. These images are equivalent to a digital negative, meaning they have a lot of information. So there are also formats which are known as DICOM, DCOM or DICOM, whatever it is. So those are medical images. Medical images come in format which is DICOM, DCOM, whatever it is. There are multiple image formats, and it is important that you learn how to deal with multiple image formats. The last topic of the day would be understanding Markov. This article was kind of good for an introductory aspect. So what does it talk about? This is the diagram you will always observe if it is a case of Markov chains. So if you're dealing with Markov chains, this is a very common article that you will be observing. So what exactly is Markov chain? It deals with the conception that always you'll have a bunch of possibilities to choose from and proceed ahead. So this thereby, if you take an action, the basically a set of transitions which are determined by a predetermined probability distribution. So your next step or the next decision of selecting of one of many possible transitions or the possibilities is determined by the fact of the past, and the past is kind of inherent determiner of your action in future. Usually that is what Markov says. Now the lack of there is one other thing which is Markov processes is renders them memoryless. If it is memoryless, that means they will never ever have a context understanding. So even if whatever the data generated is, let's say we are trying to generate a text out of text using Markov. So it might be able to mimic the style of a writer, but it won't be able to understand the context behind it, and thereby it would be able to copy the style of few short sentences. However, the meaning that the writer is trying to convey or deliver will not be successfully copied and mimicked by the Markov chains. That's a limitation. Entirely probabilistic automata. This is basically how the transitions happen. Stagnant market, should you go to bull market, bear market, stagnant market, entire probability matrices which keep on interacting with each other, and that's how the next states or the states vectors are determined. So this is what Markov chains are on a very superficial level. I also myself not learned about Markovs to a great extent, so I'll not deliver misinformation, but this is what my understanding of Markov chains is, and if possible we'll definitely learn something in greater depth over here. So if you have a confusion of why am I thinking of creating another parallel channel, so that would be computed, and that would be kind of whatever this channel is, it is kind of theoretical as well as practical. So that channel would be completely if I get time on, if I decide to make channel. However, whatever it is, even if it is a different channel or if it is the same channel, content related to core computer vision is about to be uploaded sooner or later. So stay tuned. Alright, take care. Let's wrap the session over here. Alright, bye. If you have any concerns, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you out.